Good evening. We're back with more Marvel Champions, and this evening will be a hero spotlight for Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider is one of my favorite heroes. She is a defensive specialist, and defensive specialists tend not to do that well, in my experience, in true solo on high difficulty. And the reason is because defensive specialists typically use the protection aspect the best, and the protection aspect lacks burst damage. So usually when you're playing on high difficulty, you're playing at a level where you just barely get by stage 2 of the villain, but you utilize stage 2 in order to build up the strength to get by stage 3, or you use stage 2 to build up a burst damage combo that will get you through stage 3 quickly. That's the most common way, at least, to win consistently, and the reason is because most villains, at least the hardest ones, if you stay in stage 3 for too long, they will beat you. They will build up their attachments, they will build up their minions, or they will just overwhelm you with their abilities and or their stats. And so typically you want to stay in stage 3 for as little time as possible on high difficulty, but that's not what the protection aspect does well, because the protection aspect doesn't have burst damage, it really only does damage over time. And so it tends to have a problem overcoming retaliate, because slow damage over time means lots of little attacks, and lots of little attacks are very prone to retaliate. Protection does have a couple of ways to deal damage that are immune to retaliate: electrostatic armor and flow like water. But they only deal 1 damage at a time, and so if you were to try to down a boss that has 20 HP or so using electrostatic armor and flow like water exclusively, it would take 10 turns to do so, and you can't really tread water for 10 turns while in stage 3 against any of the very difficult villains, though it is possible against some of the milder difficulty villains to do that. So, long story short, in true solo, protection specialists tend to underperform a little bit, at least in my experience, and this is likely to be the most controversial take, I would say, when I do my hero tier list. There are probably 3 to 5 heroes that are going to, well, people are going to be annoyed that they're not ranked higher. Ghost Spider is a solid A tier hero. I've seen her ranked a lot higher than that. And I would say that in a duos team where you have a defensive specialist and then another hero that is specializing in doing the other things that you need, Ghost Spider will be better. Similar to Shadowcat, Captain America, the other defensive specialists. They get better in a duos or trios or quads team. But in true solo, my experience is that they tend to underperform a little bit. With those disclaimers out of the way, let's dive into the gameplay for Ghost Spider, and I will say that I really like this hero. And so in playtesting, I tried all of the different combinations that I could, and I was able to do some things. And so let's take a look. We're going to jump into play this deck against Red Skull on expert difficulty. And here we go. So we've got the setup for the Red Skull. Starts out with 1 encounter card. I don't think we'll keep... Actually, I may just keep everything. I like it. So let's get started. We'll go ahead and play Parental Guidance to search for George Stacy. Part part of the reason why I really like Ghost Spider is that I really liked the Into the Spider-Verse as well as the Across the Spider-Verse movie. Let's go ahead and get out to get to the multiverse. And we'll get out George Stacy. We'll exhaust him to put Phantom Flip under George Stacy, and then we'll just thwart for 1. So you can use your attack instead of your thwart, which we will do, and we'll draw 5. So, 1 threat, and then we've got a side scheme to reveal. Mass Chaos, so we discard the top 5, place 1 threat for each different resource type. Science, 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 Strength, Science. Just 2, not that bad at all. Red Skull's going to attack. He attacks for 3 with 2 side schemes out. And we're going to use Defiance here, I think. Get rid of this card. Ready up. And then we got 1 more encounter card coming. Twisted Reality, Insight 1 attached to a side scheme when it's defeated, deal an encounter card. And Master Strategist. Okay. Do I want to get out Joe Costa this round? I think I do. We're going to attach Defiance to her, so let's go 1, 2, 3 for Joe Costa. Choose a defense event and attach it to her. This is face down for gameplay purposes, but I keep it face up in order to not forget what I have out. Let's go ahead and use Joe Costa to clear Mass Chaos. We'll use Ghost Spider to clear the Red House. Add an encounter card for that. And then we'll go ahead and ticket to the multiverse here. Remove it from the game. Shuffle the discard into the deck. Ready up. And we'll draw 5. Parental guidance isn't going to be useful. Let's go 1, 2, 3 for Spider UK. And we'll go ahead and we're not going to use him. We will attack for 2 and draw 4. So we got 1 threat. We got an attack from Red Skull. Well, first we have a side scheme. Hydra Reinforcements. So that's going to add an additional encounter card this round. So he gets a boost card for each side scheme in play, so he gets one extra boost card. And we'll defend with Ghost Spider, and we'll use the Defiance on Joe Costa to get rid of one of those. So the attack is going to be for 2, 3, 4. That's 1 damage. Do get to ready up. And I'm actually going to use the Phantom Flip on George Stacy here to get rid of the Hydra Reinforcements, so we only get 1 encounter card instead of 2. Got Hydra Jet Troopers, going to quick strike for 2, and then Hydra Flame Soldier. Could have a quick strike the Spider UK, but I don't quite have enough Spider Web Warrior cards to kill it outright. So what do we want to do here? We'll go attack for 2. One, 2 for Ghost Kick. Guess we get thwart for 1 and then just draw 4. So 1 threat, 1 side scheme, censor the past, and then we have 1 attack from Red Skull, which will go on Jocasta. Probably should have gone on Ghost Spider, but that's okay, we'll save these resources. And then Hydra Flame Soldier will attack Spider UK, and his interrupt deals damage before the Hydra Flame Soldier, so that's going to be 2 damage back. And then we got 1 encounter card, which will be Hydra Regular with Insight 1. So let's go ahead and get out Web Bracelet. We'll go 1, 2 for Ironheart and draw a card, and then we'll go, ooh, I actually really want that card, but I want Web Bracelet more. Thwarting tends to be the biggest problem for Ghost Spider. If you don't have Phantom Flipper, thwarting is pretty weak or hard to ignore. So there's Phantom Flip. So we got 2 threat, and we got a side scheme. The Sleeper Awakened. So here comes the Sleeper. And then we got an attack from Red Skull, which is going to go on Ghost Spider. So the attack is for 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 damage. And we'll go ahead and Phantom Flip here. Ready up and draw a card. Then we got an attack from the Sleeper, and we'll defend that with Ghost Spider as well. And we got 1 encounter card, which will be Hydra Soldier. So we are in danger of getting overwhelmed here. Let's go 1, 2 for Flow Like Water. Let's remove the toughness on the Sleeper. Take 3 damage to deal 2 to the Sleeper. Because I'd like for Web Binding to be able to kill him. We'll put Web Binding under George Stacy. And then we'll draw 5. Here's Ghost Kicks. So 1, 2 threat. And then another side scheme. Prison camps, which we're going to need. And we have an attack from Red Skull, which will go on Ghost Spider, and we'll use Defiance. So attack is for 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 damage. And we ready up and draw a card. Flow Like Water can deal 1. Then we have the Sleeper attacking, and we're going to use the Web Binding. And cancel the activation and deal 4 damage. It's not an attack, so no retaliate, but he's dying anyway, so no retaliate there. And then the Hydra Soldier will attack for 2, and we'll have Ghost Spider defend that. And do we want to go ahead and use Ghost Kick here on that Hydra Soldier? I think so. Ghost Kick. Can't ready up again, it's already been done once per phase. So on the hero turn, we actually have nothing to do except draw a new hand. Three threat, 1 attack from Red Skull. Well, first a side scheme. Hydra Patrol. 1 attack from Red Skull, it's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 damage. We don't have an event to play here, which is unfortunate. Usually we do. And then one encounter card, plays 2 threat on each scheme in play. That's going to complete phase 1. So this is going to be about done. It's not going to be a win. Can play Spider-Man and prison camps is the most important to clear, but yeah, this just isn't going to happen. Let's get reset and let's try again. Alrighty. That hand actually looks fine. So let's go 2 damage, Phantom flip the red house away. And play Spider UK and deal 2 damage. 2 damage, and then we'll draw 5. So 1 threat, 1 side scheme. One attack from Red Skull, which Ghost Spider will defend, and we'll use Defiance, so no damage. And then 2 encounter cards. We got Assault, the villain attacks you. Face tank for 3. And Hydra Flame Soldier. Could also have Pirouette and Punched, but then we wouldn't have been able to play Web Bracelet, and I do want to play Web Bracelet. It's a pretty important card. I'd like to get Electrostatic Armor set up as well. Gonna deal 2 damage to the Hydra Flame Soldier here, and then draw 4. So we got 2 threat, and we've got an attack on, well, first we got a side scheme. When you're playing against Red Skull, if you can't clear side schemes every round, you really can't do the boss. So, not anticipating this going very well. I'll have Ghost Spider defend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 2 damage, and then we'll go 1, 2 for a Ghost Kick. And ready up and draw a card. And then the Hydra Flame Soldier will attack Spider UK and he'll take it out. And then we got 1 encounter card, which is Hydra Jet Trooper, which will deal 2 to the face. Let's go get out Electrostatic Armor. We just don't have any thwart. And I think we'll have to flip to Alter Ego here. Draw 5. So we got 1, 2, and then a scheme for 3. Exhaust a character. Oh no, I don't need another boost after that. So it does clear phase 1. Brings in 2 side schemes, 1 for phase 1 of the villain phase and 1 for the second scheme. That's the sleeper. And then the sleeper will get a scheme as well. And now we get 2 encounter cards. Master Plan, yikes. We add the 4 even though it doesn't do anything there. And then the villain schemes for 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're gonna call it, well, seen an example of what Ghost Spider can't do, so let's show what Ghost Spider can do. And Ghost Spider can do a lot. She's not very good against these kinds of scheme or scenarios, at least protection Ghost Spider isn't good against the scenarios where you gotta do a lot of thwarting. But let's show what Ghost Spider can do. Here we go. This is against Absorbing Man on Heroic 1 difficulty. And the final scenario that we're going to show after this is against Ronan on Expert difficulty, who is considered the most difficult boss in the game by many. I think that Venom Goblin is harder, as I've found that fewer heroes can do Venom Goblin than Ronan, because Ronan does have a rush down strategy available, and Venom Goblin is harder to rush down. But anyway, we're playing a leadership version of Ghost Spider. I'm going to showcase 3 different Ghost Spider decks in this video. One, protection, which we just saw, and that protection deck can do a lot. It's just not very good against very difficult scenarios because of its limited burst damage capacity, and it can struggle with thwarting as well. This Absorbing Man scenario doesn't require a lot of thwarting, but you can see most heroes don't have an issue with removing super absorbing power on turn 1, but Ghost Spider does unless you draw a ally with 2 thwart or you draw a phantom flip. The limitation of 1 thwart is a pretty severe limitation in true solo. It's not as much in multiplayer, and that is where Ghost Spider really gets a chance to shine. So we get some damage on Absorbing Man. Ghost Spider can put out a surprising amount of damage when she's playing in rhythm. When you're drawing a Ghost Kick, and with the bosses that have relatively low HP, you can actually get them down fairly quickly. However, one of the problems that you do encounter is on Expert difficulty, there is a card which exhausts your identity. And if you're going into your turn exhausted, having not used a basic power, and you have cards in your hand that you can only use after using a basic power like Ghost Kick or Spinning Web Kick. Not Spinning Web Kick. Phantom Flip. They are unusable in your hand if you, at least on your turn, if you don't have your basic action available, and that can slow things down because you don't typically like to sit on cards in your hand, as it limits the amount of cards you can then draw. Anyway, Ghost Spider down to 5 HP in phase 2, but the threat on the main scheme is getting up there. Absorbing Man has just the 1 phase, and if you get to 12 you lose. So we do have the resources to play Spider-Man with the 2 wild resources from Ticket to the Multiverse. Now, I've never actually gotten a ruling or seen a ruling, but I assume when you have 2 wild resources like that, you can choose different resources for each one. Don't think you're forced to choose the same resource for both. Same resource type. So, Kalu is going to take the attack here. Spider-Man's very helpful for dealing damage. And with a Ghost Kick here, we can make some pretty serious progress. We've got to discard a card and then discard a card we control because the active trait is wood. And then we also get a stun, so that's going to slow things down. Oh yeah, this playthrough is divided into 2 videos. So the stun's going to slow things down. But we do have Peter Parker on the table, and that's very helpful, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to play Ghost Kick. But we would be able to play George Stacy and then store the Ghost Kick, so with this particular hand, not really an issue. Here I'm going to play Ironheart, draw a card, and then drop Absorbing Man into stage 3. And play George Stacy, and then we'll draw 5. So the resource generation of Ghost Spider is pretty limited if you don't get those web bracelets, and if you do, it's limited to just 1 extra card per round, which is certainly not high enough to get into the S plus tier, which is where heroes like Ironheart, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord live, and those Doctor Strange and Star-Lord have the ability to have turns where they draw 3 extra cards at least. And Ironheart typically only draws 1 extra card, but she's able to store up those progress tokens for massive turns. Anyway, 14 damage we need. And this was a deck where I was trying out Last Stand. I thought that could be good with Ghost Spider because she doesn't have a lot of burst damage, so Last Stand could get some extra damage out of allies. Here I was having a debate with myself about whether or not I wanted to use Peter Parker at this point or what I wanted to use him for. And I'm still thinking about it. Then I decide I will use Peter Parker, but I'm not going to use the Last Stand. I really have no idea why I made that decision. Seems like a good spot for Last Stand. But anyway, I'm going to Phantom Flip because the threat was getting alarmingly high. And Phantom Flip came at exactly the right time. It's going to be a second attack this round, so we got, because the Ice Trade is out, we're getting 1 extra threat with each villain activation. We get Under Fire. Much maligned Under Fire. Which is going to bring an extra attack on Machine Man. And then Omnimorph Duplication is the second card, and that's going to be Exhaust Your Identity, which Ghost Spider is already exhausted, so no problem. Could have Pirouette and punched the Under Fire, and you could make a case for that. But it would still have to deal with the Surge if I'd done that. So I'm going to play Across the Spider-Verse to grab Peter Parker. Or no, I'm storing Across the Spider-Verse with George Stacy. Sorry, not playing it. Got an attack from Absorbing Man to deal with. So we're pushing the edges of what Leadership Ghost Spider can do here anyway. And the reason is because the threat is just getting hard to manage. It is not what Ghost Spider does well. So if we wanted to manage the threat more effectively, we need to spend more resources on allies. But if we're spending more resources on allies, then we're not taking advantage of her readying ability, because you have to use interrupts to use the readying ability. So here at the end, Absorbing Man only has 1 HP, so we play a Pirouette and Punch on this encounter card, which deals 1 more damage than the number of boost icons on the card, so that finishes off Absorbing Man right then and there and ends the game. So the threat was becoming an issue, and another couple of turns and it would have been a loss likely. But Ghost Spider does have the damage to down some villains fairly quickly. The last scenario we're going to look at is going to be Ronan the Accuser, and that's going to be using a Justice Ghost Spider deck. So let's take a look at that. Here we go. This is with a Justice Ghost Spider deck based around One Way or Another. One Way or Another is a pathway to beating Ronan for quite a lot of heroes because the side schemes in Ronan are fairly mild. And so One Way or Another is a relatively easy way to generate card draw when you're facing Ronan against villains like Venom Goblin. The one way or another strategy is less effective, but it works very well against Ronan. So we're getting out Peter Parker here. And the Power Stone actually helps make up for one of Ghost Spider's deficiencies, which is the thwarting. So get some damage in. Thwart with Peter Parker, ready Ghost Spider, deal another 3 damage. And then I reconsider and do cut the power and use the Milano, and we'll play assess the situation. So we'll be at 6 hand size. I like this Justice deck for Ghost Spider, though it doesn't take advantage of her defensive abilities, but against certain scenarios it's really good. And the attack will go on Ironheart, and then we got 2 encounter cards coming. Special Delivery, which we'll exhaust the Milano for. And Pincher Maneuver. Well, we do have Phantom Flip, so we can deal with Pincher Maneuver pretty easily. We'll play Web Bracelet. Attack with Ghost Spider for 3. Thwart for 2. And ready. And then we'll attack for 3. And Phantom Flip for 5. Which is the perfect amount to deal with Pincher Maneuver. And we can ready for that as well and draw a card with Web Bracelet. Skilled Investigator, good draw, we can play it right away, doesn't clog up the hand. Deal 3 damage and then we draw 5. Haven't actually seen one way or another yet. So I'm thinking about whether I want Peter Parker to defend this attack or whether I want Ghost Spider to. Because if Ghost Spider does it, then I can Ghost Kick this round, which I think I want to do. So the attack is for 7, 8, 9. It would have been overkill anyway, so that was a good decision. But Ronan takes the Power Stone temporarily. We're going to Ghost Kick and take it right back. And then Ronan's going into phase 3, which means he gets the Power Stone right back again. We do save 1 threat on Superior Tactics. So we got 2 encounter cards coming. Exhaustion, that's a brutal one for Ghost Spider. It breaks up her rhythm. Kree Private with Quick Strike, and then we got Assault. So we're going to cancel the Assault, I think. Forgot to draw a card there for the Ghost Kick, so I took care of that. I could pirouette and punch the Assault, which is what I'm going to do. I'll save the Milano resource. So that's going to cancel the Assault and deal 1 damage to Ronan, which is not an attack, so no retaliate. We are definitely going to have to heal. There's no way we can deal 25 HP to a retaliate, 25 damage to a retaliate villain with only 3 HP. So we're going to have to heal. So we drew a card with Web of Life and Destiny there, and it's one way or another, and we're going to play that right away. And clearing The side scheme means a card drawn for Skilled Investigator as well. So I grab Cannonade, which is fairly mild, and draw 3 for one way or another. I don't have enough resources to pay for Nick Fury unless we use the Milano. Which is exactly what I'm thinking about doing, and then I reconsider. So we're going to use the Milano and Ghost Spider. And then we're going to Ghost Kick for 6 and take 1 Retaliate damage. And we should take control of the Power Stone at this point, though I don't know if I realize that or not. I ready up, flip to Alter Ego, and heal, and then draw 5. So yeah, I haven't yet realized that the Power Stone should be mine because of the Ghost Kick. So Ronan schemes, and we move into stage 2 of the main scheme. And the Kree Private gets to scheme as well. And then we got 2 encounter cards. Kree Commando and Shadow of the Past. So that's rough. That's going to make it very difficult. We're going to cancel Shadow of the Past for sure then. With the Milano. And Web Binding. So we'll heal again with Ghost Spider. Use Nick Fury and draw 3. And we'll play one way or another for sure. So we're really relying on one way or another a lot to get through this stage 3 of the villain. Grab Pincher Maneuver, which we can deal with easily because we got Phantom Flip, so we draw 3. And I'm going to play Ticket to the Multiverse. No, now I'm reconsidering Ticket to the Multiverse. No, I can't Phantom Flip because I have to use a basic ability first. And I have no way to ready Ghost Spider. This is what I was referring to when I talked earlier about the broken rhythm being a problem from time to time. So we will play Ticket to the Multiverse. And we'll play Clear the Area, which draws a card. Actually, shouldn't be able to do that because there's a patrol minion out, and Clear the Area is the main scheme, or it is a thwart, so there should be +2 threat on the main scheme. We ended up discarding the card that it drew anyway, but there should be 2 more threat on the main scheme than there is right now because of that patrol. So I already used one way or another this round, so I can't one way or another again. And I actually shouldn't have readied up the Milano for the Ticket to the Multiverse because that's not a Ghost Spider card. Don't think Skilled Investigator should ready up either. And so the Milano shouldn't have been available to use there. How would that have affected things? I'm not sure. I have to go back and look. We do wind up with an extra resource in the hand. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Fanaticism, Kree Lieutenant, Kree Commando. So of course we deal the 3 damage and we ghost flip. Draw a card. And just barely finish off Ronan. So let's go back and look at that turn and see if there's actually a way to do what we wanted to do. And I may have been under the impression that Ticket to the Multiverse readies each card that you control. So I don't think we should ready Sir Milano here, right? That's not a Ghost Spider card that you control. So let's see here. Is there a way to do what we wanted to do without using Milano? Or was this a fraudulent win? So I readied Milano and Nick Fury there, and I shouldn't have. Because Ticket to the Multiverse isn't ending the turn. There I realized Nick Fury should have been exhausted. Oh, and the Milano should have been exhausted, so I did play it properly. Because I didn't spend the Milano anything. Okay, it just looked weird to me because I readied them and then exhausted them afterwards, but no, I did play it properly. So Ronan is defeated by the skin of my teeth, which means any little minor error may have actually resulted in this being a loss. I'm not at all confident that this is a legit win, but it is a decent showcase of what Ghost Spider can do in the best case scenario. She is capable of downing Ronan the Accuser on expert difficulty. So what we can say about Ghost Spider is that she's very, very strong in her niche. And her niche is scenarios that don't need a lot of thwarting, or that have a thwarting assist like the Milano. Unfortunately, of the big 3 villains, the other 2 do require a lot of thwarting. Venom Goblin has those 3 main schemes, so you get 3 threat per turn, 1 on each main scheme. And then there can also be side schemes as well, and it does require a fair amount of thwarting. And Magneto requires a fair amount of thwarting as well, because you have those side schemes in play from the start of the game that require you to clear them before you can deal damage to Magneto. You can deal a little bit, but before you can go beyond 6, 12, 18, etc., you got to clear those side schemes. So I found Ghost Spider to be quite challenging to play against those scenarios, so she's not going into the S+ tier, but she is a strong A tier hero, and in her niche she's very, very powerful, and her niche is scenarios that don't require a lot of thwarting. And I really like this Justice deck for her, with one way or another. I think she's capable of doing quite a lot with it, including downing Ronan, which frankly shocked me. I wasn't really expecting to do as well as I did with Ghost Spider, and it didn't take that many attempts to get there. So that's our spotlight for Ghost Spider using 3 different Ghost Spider decks. I would say that protection is widely considered to be the best aspect for Ghost Spider, and in multiplayer that is extremely likely to be true, but in solo play I do like Justice for her, in particular because she's not a very good thwarter, and Justice helps with that, so it rounds out your weakness for true solo play. This is one of my favorite heroes in the game. I was really hoping that she would be an S+ tier hero capable of taking on any of the content in the game. Didn't really find that to be the case, but she is a strong A tier hero. So, thank you for watching.